Hey guys, Maïka D here, Duperval for short, and welcome back to my channel. Now today I am going to be talking about, I guess, my quote-unquote untold story of my trip to the ER. I initially didn't really care to do a video like this, but I mean I also didn't want my first sit down, talk with you, tell you more about myself type of video to be about beauty. So here we go. It was on a Wednesday when I first started experiencing really bad abdominal pains, and I was assuming that, okay, maybe it's because of my period, because I was on my menstrual cycle at that time. Now, I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I didn't think too much of it, and I went to dinner with a girlfriend of mine, and everything was fine and dandy up until later that night, where I literally had some type of really weird and extremely painful cramp spasm type thing. I don't know, it was just like a little episode. It honestly felt like I was giving birth out of my butt. It was that bad. I'm quite like tolerant to pain in a way that I don't really think too much of it. So I therefore didn't and waited until the next morning to see whether or not I'd get any better. Luckily, I didn't. I mean, the pains was comfortable enough for me to deal with, I guess, to the point where, okay, maybe it's getting better, maybe it's not. But again, I didn't think anything of it. Therefore, I ended up going to work. I was still in pain at work. I'm like, everyone was like, no, you need to go home. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'll be good. And then later on that night was when I decided that I need to go to the hospital. So I ended up doing so. It was really late, like 3 a.m., so Friday morning rather, when I had another like really bad manic episode in pain. My brother came to pick me up from my apartment and then drove me to the hospital, to the nearest hospital to us. And there I spent literally, like, we got there around 5:45, 6-ish, and we didn't leave until 1. And I was just in so much pain the entire time, and I didn't know what was going on. It seemed fairly quick. I mean, there's not a lot of people in the ER, yet however, waiting for results to come in took forever. And I will never understand this. I will never understand it. I don't know how long results take to come in, but I'm pretty sure it's not 3 hours, and even if it is, let me know. But no, so then they ended up sending me home, gave me a prescription for irritable bowel syndrome. I'm like, oh, okay, great. That's something I can live with. It kind of sucks, so I can't really eat what I want like that anymore. Which was whatever, cool. I get to go home. It's fine and dandy. I had to take the time off of work for that day. And I'm like, okay, cool. I think I should be okay to go into work tomorrow, whatever. Shook it off. Now, mind you, I'm still in pain. I was feeling much better than before. My brother drove me to go grab my prescription. We got some chicken noodle soup. And, he drove me back to my apartment. So then he leaves. And then as soon as he leaves, I decide, to go back to sleep. Try to take a nap. Try to get some rest because, I hadn't slept, really. Then around 9 p.m. that same night, happened again as to where I was still feeling extreme amounts of pain. I was just here by myself, just like in pain. So then I guess everyone was, I initially called my brother who's in Jacksonville. Okay, no, this is happening again. And then eventually my other brother who does live here picked me up again, took me to the hospital again. And then at this point, my sister Martine, who is a nurse, she came and met us at the hospital. She ended up staying with me for the next couple of days. So when we finally got to the ER, it literally took hours for me to finally see someone. And I was just in so much pain just because I couldn't really sit up, I couldn't really hunch over, and I was sitting in a chair for like 3 hours, and like I couldn't eat anything, and the only thing I had was literally like 5 tablespoons of chicken noodle soup and maybe 4 crackers, and that was about it. And literally when we finally got to see someone, the doctor said, okay, we're gonna take some blood samples, and then we're gonna we're gonna go ahead and give you a bed in the ER. At this point, it's like around 3 o'clock in the morning. And then he's like, in the morning, I'm assuming around like 10-ish, whatevs, we're gonna go ahead and get you a sonogram to see whether or not it could be your gallbladder. I'm like, great, I'll be out of here in a couple of days. Perfect. Next morning comes around. I wake up, we go to the ultrasound or sonogram, however you want to call it, and literally they saw liquid in my stomach. At this point, I'm like, wow, really? And mind you, beforehand, everyone kept asking me, you know, are you pregnant? Do you take any drugs? Are you a heavy drinker? Are you sexually active? Are you this? Are you that? And I'm like, no, 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 no. And I had to repeat everything, like literally like 8 times to every single person who came to me, and I'm like, but which one of you is gonna do something about it? Like, what is happening? And yeah, literally, like, I go in the sonogram, they tell me, okay, there's blood in your stomach. I'm like, cool, cool, cool. And then later on, literally after the sonogram, about 3 hours later, this is when I heard this news. He told me it was a ruptured cyst on my left ovary. I'm like, okay, cool, 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 cool. When do we operate? You know? In my head, I was literally, in my head, I already knew that we were going to have to operate, as I was literally like hunched over my bathroom floor, keeling over in pain. I knew good and well, we're gonna have to operate. So they're like, okay, well, we're gonna keep you here. You can't really eat anything. We're gonna keep you on an IV. We're gonna monitor your levels and see whether or not this goes away by itself. I'm like, okay, great. That means I have to be here for another day. Perfect. So then literally later on that day, my sister goes home. Mind you, she has been with me since like 11 o'clock the night before. So she goes home, and you know, I'm here at the hospital. I'm in the ER by myself, and it was just really stressful. Because, I mean, the people in the ER, they're in distress. You know, I was by myself. This is the first time that I'm hospitalized. And I was like, really, this is happening? I just want to go home. And sometime in the middle of the night was when the doctors are kind of like, and mind you, at the same time, they were also taking blood samples from me every 6 hours just to monitor my hemoglobin, which is, I'm assuming, the white levels of iron in your blood. I don't know, it's something to do with iron. I'll post the definition up right here. Yeah, so they were trying to monitor my hemoglobin, and around 2 a.m., like 1:30, 2 a.m., I wake up to a huddle of doctors literally around my bed. And then they're basically telling me that you look completely fine, yet your iron levels are dropping really, really fast, but you look fine, so I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know if it's because of the cyst is why your levels are going so low, or I don't know whether or not it's because of the IV, because I hadn't eaten anything that day. I was on an IV drip. So they're like, we're going to give you a blood transfusion. We're going to give you 2 liters of a blood transfusion. And at this point, I don't have my mom here with me. I don't have my sister here with me, who are both registered nurses, you know, and I don't know what to do at this point because I've never been hospitalized. I'm like, do I get a blood transfusion? Do I not? So I ended up getting a blood transfusion, and mind you, at this point, my parents are driving back. They're in Virginia at this time, and, you know, we are communicating through video chat. And so at the end of it, we decided to go with a blood transfusion. Didn't help. The morning after, at this point, it's a Sunday morning, I was given a room in the hospital, so at this point I'm admitted into the hospital, and it was just, at this point I was like so ready to go home. Like, what is wrong with me? I want to go home, I stink, you know, I'm hooked up to all these IVs, and it was just horrible. And because I have a very, like, my veins, well, don't show that much, they couldn't really find them, and it was a whole shebang. I literally just wanted to go home at this point. Yeah, I ended up going into the hospital room. They also continued taking blood for me every 6 hours. And, you know, my sister was still with me. She came back around 7 a.m. Sunday morning. So she came back right before they transferred me to the hospital. Around 4 p.m., excuse me, my godmother came, brought some toiletries, you know, some soap, you know, toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, you know, and, you know, helped clean me up. And at this point, because of the blood in my stomach, I kept bleeding as well. So I was internally bleeding at this entire time, and like my stomach, I was so bloated. Like my stomach came out to like literally like tell you this is my stomach, and like this is where it was. Like it felt like I looked pregnant, and it was so uncomfortable. Like just thinking about that just gives me shivers of how bad it was. So then I told the nurse, like I called the nurse, I'm like, hey, from the floor, and I'm like, you know, hey, like I'm very uncomfortable, you know, I'm not in a lot of pain, but like I'm just super uncomfortable, can you give me something? They gave me something, took more blood samples, and it wasn't until around 9:30ish where I started getting a really bad headache. So then the doctor came, well the nurse came, and at that point I thought, okay, maybe it's a headache because of the medicine he gave me. That medicine was supposed to, you know, make me go to sleep. I didn't go to sleep. I kind of fought with it, you know, to keep in touch with, you know, family and relatives and whatever. So I didn't necessarily go to sleep. I thought maybe that's why I'm in, my head hurts. So I didn't think anything of it until later on, after the nurse came, the nurse left, excuse me, and my sister, I told my sister, and she's like, why didn't you say anything? I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's because I'm tired or whatever. And then about 40 minutes later, then I'm like, okay, maybe it's not because I'm asleep, because normally, like, I can't even sleep. So then my sister went to go tell the nurse, and luckily enough, the doctor calls at the same time saying, hey, your hemoglobin is dropping. And I think at that point, I'm not exactly sure, because there was a resident and then there was the surgeon. So I think the resident came back and told me, okay, look, we might have to operate on you in the morning, but at this point, you know, we could probably give you something to eat. And at this point I'm like, yes, food. But then about 30 minutes after that, so literally like around 11:30, 11:45ish, like a bit before midnight, is when not only the resident but the surgeon came upstairs and said that they were going to operate. And at this point I couldn't be more relieved. It's like, thank Christ. I'm like, great, let's operate, I am ready. So he was doing a C-section, then he said, okay, I'm gonna come back up, we're gonna do the whole operation. I'm like, okay, great. So I go back to try to go back to get some rest before the operation, and then they wake me up, and finally they start wheeling me down to the operating room. And long story short, I ended up getting 2 liters of blood drained out of my stomach alone. So they removed 2 liters of blood out of my system, as well as quite a bit of debris from the cyst. And I have 3 scars. I have one on either side of my hip bone and one right below my belly button. And now I'm good. I am at the moment anemic just because of my iron levels. I take iron supplements for the next, I guess at this point, month and a half. But I'm all great and I'm good. My parents ended up arriving to the hospital about half an hour before I was rolled out of the operating room. And no, like, everything was great. I was out of the hospital Tuesday morning, and I was so happy. The resident who took care of me, she's like, okay, at 7 o'clock, she's like, you know, you get to leave. I'm like, great. I was out of there I was home before noon. Bless. But I'm just so thankful and so blessed that I'm just here at home, and that just everything, I guess, fell into place. You know, my sister didn't have to work that weekend. My parents were on their way back home as scheduled, and you know, thanks for technology for letting me be able to be in contact with them. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just happy I'm home, man. I went back to work a few weeks ago. I was still able to go see Trevor Noah at the Just for Laughs Festival, which was about 10 days after my surgery. And I'm happy. You happy? That's basically it. No, now I'm home, living life. So let me know what you guys want to hear or see next. Do you guys want me to do more makeup tutorials? Do you guys want me to do another story time? Do you guys want me to just talk about whatever? Let me know in the comments down below. And thanks for watching. And while you're here, why don't you go ahead and watch this Aaliyah reading the resolution makeup look right here. And why not watch my last video right here? Why not go ahead and press that cute little subscribe button? And I'll see you guys next time.